Hey folks, I'm Gary and this is a Kilted Drummer. So we're out for a walk in the woods, and I was out here yesterday having a walk around and just thinking about things. And then I went home and I was having a wee look online at some of the reviews people had done on various whiskies and things. And if any of you have seen me on social media, you'll know that I've got a wee thing for Glen Moray. I quite rather enjoy a wee Glen Moray. Now, Glen Moray is one of these whiskies that, for want of a better term, it's rather unfashionable. Yeah, a lot of people are quite nervous of Glen Moray, quite scared of Glen Moray. They'll go into the supermarkets and they walk down the whiskey aisle, the spirits aisle, and they'll have a look and they see the Glen Morays. And they're sitting there on average £20, £22, something in that region. And there seems to be a fear of cheap whiskies. People think, you know, if it's a low price point on their whiskey, then it's not going to be a good whiskey. So, like I said, I enjoy Glen Moray. So I started looking at other people's reviews just to research Glen Moray a little bit more. And one of the things I found was all these people that had this fear of Glen Moray, which in the supermarket, £22, stay away from that, like a vampire. You know? Or you got these people that were, they'd been gifted it. Yeah, thanks very much, and they stuck it up on the shelf. And every time they looked on the shelf for a drink, Glen Moray, no, and they take something else down. But then it got to the day when they had to drink it. It was the most obvious malt on the shelf, so they pick it up and they open it up. And wow! Seen all these reviews of people who actually discovered Glen Moray forcefully, almost by, not by accident because they've got the bottle, but because they kind of have to drink it, you know. And I've read some of these reviews and everyone starts off with this first couple of sentences about trepidation. They didn't want really to drink it, but it was there, so they'll start drinking it. And by the end of the review, I don't think I read one that was bad. Now, Glen Moray. If you don't know Glen Moray, and one of these things with it not being fashionable, a lot of people don't know Glen Moray. It's a distillery, a Speyside distillery, situated on the west side of Elgin, and it draws its water from the River Lossy. Off the top of my head, it's been running since about 1897, originally as a brewery and then changing over to banging out whiskies. As it stands today, they're putting out about 3.5 million litres per year, and I think they're hoping to expand, moving up to about 5 million litres a year. Majority of that, I think, goes into their malt ranges. They have 5 or 6 different ranges, starting from their very basic classic range, moving on up. But some of it does go into blends, particularly, I think, is it Label 5 is one of their blends that you quite often see about. Off the top of my head, the company is perhaps French owned. Don't quote me on that, I think it's a French owned distillery now. So, as I said, it starts down at the classic range, the bottom one. There are 6 expressions that you can get in this bottom range if you want. For want of a better term, it's their entry level range. So starting down at the bottom, you'll have a standard classic, which is American oak bourbon. You have a sherry, so it's been matured for the majority of its time in American oak, then moved over and finished in a sherry cask. They have a peated version, where it's still matured the same, but the barley that's been used has been lightly peated, smoked. There is a Chardonnay finish, a port wood finish, and a Sauvignon Blanc perhaps. Again, don't quote me on that, but there's the 5 different ones. The 3 ones that you can walk in any supermarket basically and find are your classic, your sherry cask, and your peated. You'll find them pretty much everywhere, or every supermarket. And price range sort of 20, 22, 24 pound, I think. I think actually I bought my last bottle of sherry cask for £18 from Asda, I think. They had a wee special on. But yeah, that's the right thing, looking for specials. So, what's to talk about with these drinks? Well, what I've done is I brought along one of them. Now, what we've got here is the Glen Moray. This is your classic. This is your just matured Americano, as it says on the back. Slowly matured in traditional oak casks. Now, it's a non-age statement whisky, but if you do a wee bit of research, it's average. They reckon it's averaging about 7 years. It's what's in this bottle, so a 7-year whisky. It is presented at 40%, and for, as I said, for want of a better term, an entry level. For